Hello, welcome to another tonal landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting I'm bringing you today is called Path to the Meadow. It's a 5x7, and I painted this. I painted it yesterday. And, today is the 8th, February 8th, 2025. Uh, this kind of scene's a lot of fun. I've had this. We got a lot to talk about. Anyway, we'll start off by saying I'm painting on some MDF. I'm doing an underpainting at the moment, as you can see, using some burnt umber, just burnt umber. And Now, if you're interested in checking out the reference image that I used to make this painting, in the members area, not only do you have the real-time live session of this painting being done with some tips and tricks being passed on. It's not the reason for the painting to get done, but there is some information being imparted. Also, there's a session where I'm going to do some color mixing and things like that. So check out the members area if you want to get more in depth. It's actually pretty cheap, $6 a month US. Okay, burn number. And now this is based on a photo I took quite a while back. I've had it for a long time. I'm quite fond of these sorts of trees. Now, I had went ahead and taken that photo and composited a reference scene from it, which I had sitting in my storage folder for a long time. I kept passing on it, and then what occurred to me was that there was an issue with it. And you see where we have the mass of trees on our right, and then there's just the lone tree on our left. Well, instead of a lone tree like that, it was just this big wodge of foliage. Okay, and while I enjoyed the break in the sky with the foliage, really that's what I was seeing. At a subconscious level, that was really bothering me, to so much so that I passed on it for months with it in that folder. And then it occurred to me, oh, I need to just make that a tree or something over there. And in a frame, it'd be right up against the rabbit. It's having something like a trunk there was really critical. Now, these sorts of intuitions, these sorts of knowings, they come from doing a lot of paintings and listening to them and reinforcing them. Whether you're an intuitive type or not, if you do a lot of work, then you're going to build up a repertoire in your mind of things that you know work, and even more importantly, more things that you know don't work. And once you know it doesn't work, you won't do it. That's why I'm always stressing you need to paint more. Now, another thing I want to talk about is I know some artists, that haven't worked for a while, and did some very good work when they were working, and they're having a problem getting back into it. And one thing I might point out to you, or if that's you or you know someone like that, is that what you don't want to do is, and actually, if you're just having a problem doing art, I think this will qualify as good advice. Don't make it a big to do. Don't make it something that has to be special. Don't make it, something like I'm expressing myself and this is going to be great. And I love all the great artists in the past, and here is my contribution to art history. Don't do any of that. If maybe if you're working every day, then you could start concerning yourself with art history and stuff. But in the meanwhile, especially if you're having trouble getting up and getting started doing some painting, just make it something that's low impact. That's not a major deal. I would just get a board, grab whatever paints are at hand, whatever brushes are at hand, open it up, grab a magazine, open it up, find a picture, and start painting it. That's what I would recommend you do. Don't make it a big painting. You can get these little like canvas panels, or actually little hardboard panels like I work on, or MDF. Relatively inexpensive. Have it around and just do a painting. It doesn't matter. Don't make it a big deal. Here's the book. The book is $60. U.S. international shipping's included, and it collects tips and tricks from the 10 years I had the channel, and people really like it. You might like it. Check it out. It's not available as an ebook, only a printed book. Now, maybe one day I'll get an actual publisher, and maybe one day it might be available as an ebook. Not by me though. But I am looking for a publisher, so if that's you, I want a real one. But what I really don't feel like doing is spending a lot of time. Anyway, let's continue to talk about this scene. So when I have this now one decision I made here was not to try and get fancy with the sky. So if you're trying to do a scene like this, and we're kind of in a shaded area, there is a lighted area, you're going to see that meadow that I did in the middle distance. That's what I decided to name the painting Path to That, because I took that. Now it wasn't at all like that in my reference image, which again you can see in the members area. It was just a little subtly high bit. You could tell there was something there in between the grass, so I expanded it. And it wasn't long after I got into the painting process, I said, oh yeah, I'm going to make that nice and bright. And I did. And it's really one of the things that makes a painting, with the sky being nice and bright, because even though you can see everything in this sort of shaded area, there's no strong, real strong highlights, or even a lot of, it's not completely black, but we're in a dark place, we're going to a light place. And I think that's very effective. I love doing this kind of painting. It's this one has come out pretty well. I'm quite happy with it. Now the real challenge with this kind of scene, we've got this trees with the foliage. The foliage is all over the place. You can see hundreds of little leaves and little sky holes and all of that. And hopefully you've noticed that what I tend to do is I come up with a pattern. It's fairly loose in the drawing / underpainting stage. It's somewhat defined. What I really tried to do there is to make sure that all of the shapes and their relationships are pretty much in place, but the actual details of the edges, or any real detail, I kind of save for a lot of it. I do it, what you see us doing now, which is coming in with my darks and landscape. But for those tree shapes, that's absolutely going to be defined when I put the sky in. And now I was doing a painting today, it came out pretty good, and I'm talking to the members, that would be checking this this videotaping session out. And one thing I was pointing out to them was not only about this detail thing, but being careful. Like, okay, you want to be thorough, and you want to address every aspect of your painting. At times there will be elements of the reference image that are either incredibly detailed, you really don't know how to approach. So one thing you could fall back on, and I don't recommend it, but you can fall back on just girding your loins and rendering what you see in the reference image as closely as you possibly can. And now, if you can do that for the entire painting, that's one thing. That's called a style. It's not my idea of a great approach, but there are artists that do that, and even some of them can be successful. I think what's far more successful is a fairly loose approach that's expressive. We can see what things are, but the scene has been designed and it's been interpreted by a human being into what is basically a series of patterns. What I try to do when I'm interpreting, in fact, a scene like this could be, so I know I make it look easy, but again, if you were to see the reference image, that you could get lost in all the different shapes, and you could sit there and draw every branch out, every major sky hole, and draw it all out. You could even trace the image, which we've talked about on the channel before. I don't recommend that. There's a lot of things that need to change from a photo when it's going to be interpreted as a painting. And honestly, that interpretation that you make is your gift as an artist to the world. So don't trace the photos. It's just a bad plan. It doesn't work either, so it doesn't work very well. I have done a few okay paintings doing that way back in the day when I didn't know better. I'm just telling you, don't do it. And the same thing goes for doing an incredibly detailed drawing or underpainting. I've done that. I made that mistake, and I have made okay paintings from it. But what's better, what's way better, is to have an attitude as you're moving through the painting that you're addressing each part of the painting, but you're moving on. You're constantly putting something down, moving it on. What I find to be the most successful approach is to not paint over the same area, twice or three times. Now there will be exceptions, like you can see here where we put in our black, then our dark green, which kind of merges with the black, and then our next green, and that's really doing the bulk of the heavy lifting of the painting. But I'm sure I will be bringing in a few highlights. I don't have the image handy. Let's have a look. Yeah, a few here and there. I push things around a little bit. Um, keep within keeping of the fact that, like I said, I feel like that we're in a shaded area, so I don't want anything too strong or too popping. But I'm moving through everything. You can see it a pretty even keel. Now, the painting I was doing today had a lot of challenges. For one, I know we're looking at a different scene, so I won't belabor it, but the reference image ended up being grassy, and I turned it all into rocks. Okay, now that meant I was just floating out in the painter land breeze. But you should never hesitate to do something like that. Just like the meadow you see me painting right now, it wasn't like that in the reference. It's like that in my painting, and it's a highlight now. It's a place of strong chroma. We're headed there, and we're also going to be attracted to the light and contrast against the trees, so it's like a double whammy. I do that a lot of times in my skies too, where I have a bright light spot up against the dark tree, but then I will bring in an area of some chromatic intensity as well, maybe just a little lower. It's fine because it's all pointing you in the same area. Here we're going to go up the path. We do hit the meadow relatively quickly, but we kind of arc around the trees in that opening space and come down the tree, go back up around to that light on the other side, and to kind of repeat it. I think this is a pretty dang strong composition. The path, it came out all right. This path I inserted into my reference image using the Adobe AI feature, which is okay at that. Honestly, a lot of times I get a better result by just finding a path in some other reference photo and just compositing it in old school. And I used to do all of these photo adjustments the old-fashioned way, not with the paper and scissors. A wise guy. Um, no, I would make a detailed mask in Photoshop and then swap out my skies. And same thing goes for compositing paths and things like that. I do find having the AI very handy for making adjustments to the reference. At the end of the day, though, I still have to take my reference image and interpret it as a painting, which is what I want to do. I want to make a painting that looks like a painting. Uh, I don't even have to say I want it to look like one of my paintings because I can't escape painting the way I paint. But I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to get, like, for example, sometimes you have repetition of patterns, like I call it 1, 2, 3 on the channel. You've heard me talk about that maybe before. And that's when you have the intervals between objects and the objects, they're too consistent. That never works, and it's something I'm always watching for. And this is something I know intuitively and I know from experience. And so when I'm steering the AI or I'm working with the reference photo, I'm adjusting for these things. So you can have amazing reference photo reference and even augment it with a bunch of AI and stuff. But if you really don't know what to leave in, what to take out, so on and so forth. And for my part, I would encourage you not to worry too much about getting real jiggy with that. Just grab any old reference or take a reference and start painting. And then as you progress on down the lane, you can get better and better at doing these kinds of things. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you're having a great week, and until I come back with another video for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid, take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones, stay out of trouble. God bless you and your family, and fight the power.